All right, we can get going here, I guess. As I mentioned, my name is Gerry Brien with Consumer Focused Marketing. Thank you again for jumping on. Joining me today is Chris Herb from the Connecticut Energy Marketers Association and Jim Hickey from Quintico. We're just going to talk a little bit about this program that we've been running in Connecticut for, I want to say, almost 4 years now. Hopefully, you get some good takeaways. If you've been utilizing the program, great. We're just going to talk a little bit about, the presentations, navigating the website. And then Jim is going to share his experience with the program. He's been very involved with the program, so he can kind of give you an idea of how he utilizes it to the best of his ability. Before I do any of that, though, I wanted to just pass it on to Chris Herb. Chris, if you want, throw it to you here. So,
thanks, Gerry. Thank you for being on today. I think that I just wanted to provide a little background on where this program came from. I think originally the idea that was originally presented to us is kind of evolved considerably since this started. Our school advisory board actually worked with Gerry and the team, Consumer Focus, to come up with a program that could be responsive to our members and employers' needs to develop the next generation of HVAC pros. So the intention of the program was to start to get into populations of people who could potentially be our future employees in response to, I think one of the biggest concerns that I hear from owners is the lack of skilled labor to be able to take care of your customers. And so I guess maybe about 5 years ago, we spent several months putting together what we thought was a presentation that could potentially motivate somebody who was looking for either a career change or younger people, students who were looking to decide what career path they wanted to follow. And that was the genesis of the program. SEMA conducts a number of NORA-funded programs, from our consumer outreach campaign to a realtor program to a rebate program. And I can tell you that there is no program that is more well received than this one. Utilizing our members as volunteer presenters, the staff, Nikki Colley here and myself have done presentations. And Gerry's intimately involved in those presentations also, has been extremely successful. The ancillary benefits to the program is also, especially when we're before young people, but any audience that we end up doing these presentations to, there's ancillary benefits in a couple of ways. From a macro standpoint, we're able to tell a story about the fuels that we sell and the technology that utilizes those fuels. So I'm really excited that even if we don't turn a potential person who is looking for a career change or trying to decide what career path to follow, I'm excited that we rarely as an industry are able to talk one-on-one with consumers. When you interface with consumers, they're calling for a billing question or making a complaint about a delivery or asking for a delivery. So those are quick touch points that tend to move on pretty quickly. And this is instead of it being an economic relationship, it's our opportunity to have an intelligent and articulate conversation about the exciting career path that HVACR can provide. But in addition to that, we're able to communicate the change in our fuel, and again, the rapidly changing equipment that's utilized to heat people's homes with. So I strongly encourage members to get them more involved in this. There's not only the opportunity for you to be able to interface with potential candidates for jobs in the future, people who might become apprentices, but also to go and meet it. So on a more micro level, from macro level, we have a number of benefits that the industry receives. But you as a presenter now get to be in front of, and our presenters typically are from the geographic area of the school or the location that the presentation's being done, and you get to get in front of these prospects. You know, here at our school at NTech, we have employers coming, meeting with our students before in the first couple weeks of our program, because they're so eager to try to get in front of potential apprentices. So this program delivers to the members who have the time and want to take the opportunity to make these presentations, to start to see the people that potentially could be working for you in the future. So again, I strongly encourage participation. I can tell you that there is not a better partner than Consumer Focus, who puts these together, goes out and finds the people who want to receive this information, and it truly is one of the more inspirational and exciting programs that we deal with, because we have so many opportunities to meet with literally hundreds of young people and people maybe looking for career changes. So with that, thank you for the opportunity to help open this program, and I look forward to walking through with Gerry the rest of the program. So thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Chris. Really appreciate that. So actually, just a couple of things I did want to mention. So this is being recorded. So, you know, if you did want to share this with some other folks in your organization, you'll have the ability to do that. Also, if you have any questions, there is a question or chat box there. You can type your questions in there, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end of the webinar. So we'll keep this moving here. I just got a couple of slides, and then I'm going to pass it to Jim Hickey. Just some background, you know, as it pertains to just some of the stats here. We've done over 60, it's probably closer to 70 presentations since we started. There are over 447 applicants, and we have about 121 marketers that have registered thus far. So this just gives you, these are just some of the schools that we've been into. It's just kind of a smattering, you know, we've initially kind of focused a lot of our attention on the trade schools, which I still think is, you know, kind of the place to be. But we in the last couple of years, we did broaden our horizons a little bit. We're working closely with this 160 Driving Academy. We've had some presentations there for CDL candidates, which I think is great, you know, because I know we're focusing on the technicians side of things, but obviously, you know, there's a serious need for drivers. So that's something that we look to continue. And you know, the other thing that we did last year was we started doing some outreach to some of the community colleges, and so I think you can anticipate that we'll continue to do that moving forward here as well. So we actually have some things kind of in the pipeline as it pertains to that. But again, you know, I think the kind of the bread and butter is still, to me, is still some working with these trade schools. I think that, and we'll talk a little bit about why in a second here. But Chris talked about the presentations, and you know, I do this in a number of different states, and I will say Connecticut was the most active as it pertains to being part of you know, putting the presentation together, which I certainly do appreciate. Their feedback was amazing, and their input was extremely helpful. So you know, I'm not going to run through the presentation with you, but you know, just to give you an idea, to Chris's point, and one of really what the presentation consists of, we kind of talk about how our industry has evolved, and in particular how our fuel has evolved. And I will tell you this, and you know, maybe Jim can attest to it. I know Chris has been involved with a number of presentations. I was surprised at how interested these students, these young kids, were in bio, and so that was some, I mean, it was, you know, initially we kind of had it in there as just, you know, something to kind of talk about, but you know, I find myself answering a lot of questions, you know, from these students. They seem intrigued about that, and it's not just the students, by the way, it's the instructors, you know. So a lot of the instructors are not familiar with kind of where we are as it pertains to bioheat. So to Chris's point, it's another platform for us to kind of tell our story, and it's a great story to tell. So that's something that I think is worth mentioning. And then we just talk about what the career looks like in our industry, the benefits. One talking point that Chris added, after the pandemic was, it's not just, I don't know if it was Chris or Nikki that came out with it, but it's a great talking point, and I've stolen it from him. But it's this industry is not just recession proof, but it's pandemic proof. And we kind of talk about how busy our companies were during the pandemic. So and then typically at this time, we go through the presentation, we hand it off to a volunteer from our industry, one of the members. And so I invited Jim Hickey on to kind of talk about that. Jim has come with me on a number of presentations, and he's got a great story. But we have a number of members that tell a great story, and it's really, I think when we go do these presentations, and again, they're intrigued by bioheat and all the stuff that I'm saying, but when they can actually hear somebody from the industry that kind of talks about, hey, I sat where you sat, and kind of here's where I am, and talk about their trajectory in the industry, I think it really resonates with them. So Jim, I'm gonna flip it to you. Maybe you can kind of talk a little bit about your experience with these presentations, and maybe why some folks might want to participate in some of these future ones. So.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Gerry. We've been involved with Gerry in the presentations now for several years, and it really gives the students, what we do is give them a great overview of our business, like Gerry said and Chris said, but it also gives you as the business owner or business manager or service manager the opportunity to talk about your company and all of the career opportunities that these students have. And as Gerry says, they're very attentive and want to hear what you have to say. They're very intrigued with bioheat and really started asking some great questions about bioheat. In these classrooms, they're probably more focused on the HVAC side of the business, the air conditioning, the refrigeration. They'll do a lot of gas heat. And when we start talking to them about the bioheat and how clean our industry is, they really start to perk up and are very interested. So, we have this great opportunity to build a good relationship with the students, but also with the teachers and the school. And we've gone back several times after the presentation with Gerry and have done a presentation again with our business and have had the ability to sign students up for a job shadowing program, which we didn't have at Quinoco. And we saw this opportunity to offer students a 2-day job shadowing program where they would come in, spend a day with our service tech doing service calls. The second day they may be installing an oil tank or a boiler, but they get a good perspective of what we do every day. And we also talk to them about soft skills. We spend a lot of time talking about soft skills and how important those are in dealing with our customer and communicating with our customer. I was shocked that every time we meet with each class, I would say about 95% of the students will get up right away and sign their name to be part of the job shadowing program. And when they start to come in, they come in with their tool bag. They're ready to go. They're dressed, ready to go. They're on time. I think we had one out of all the students that we had that just didn't show up. But, you get that feeling when they sign up how aggressive they're going to be anyway. But these guys are really looking to get their foot in the door and experience what we have to offer every day. So one of the things, I would say is right now we've had some great success. We're maxed out on our apprentice ratio, unfortunately, but as soon as these apprentices that we have go for their license, we're still, going to bring in more apprentices and continue to build up our service department. We've had students that are interested in getting their CDL, so we're helping them go down that road as well. But you know, we all know it's very difficult to get new talent into this industry, and there is, you know, Gerry, what's the average number of students in a class? 20 or so?
I would say, yeah, In fact, you know, since the pandemic, there has been an uptick in enrollment at these trade schools. So that's a good sign. That's good for the future of our industry, I think.
Yeah, and so you have a great abundance of students to really grab, bring on as an apprentice, nurture them the way you want to, train them the way you want to, and I have found great success in it. And so I would encourage anybody that's really looking for a student or looking to build their service business to take part in this Generation Next Energy Pros program.
Yeah, and Gerry, I'd just like to add to what Jim said. And Jim, thank you for being such a great volunteer. You know, participation in volunteering in this benefits you in a couple of ways. And I just wanted to emphasize what Jim is doing to leverage this. So him and the other volunteers that have done this are doing a great service to our industry. Again, we're promoting a career path that as we grow the pie of potential apprentices, it's going to help all of us. They may not land at your company, but will eventually help all of us, because there are a lot of trades competing for these people, you know, whether it's electricians or plumbers or automotive or whatever it might be. So we're doing a great service to the entire industry and helping our companies. Jim and the volunteers, you know, the Quinoco, for Jim at Quinoco and the volunteers at other companies, just for competitive reasons, you should want to be a volunteer. Because why do you want the guy down the street who's talking to who's going to have a better shot at picking off the cream of the crop? So you should all want to be able to participate in this just for selfish reasons. And then finally, like I said before, I think that the piece of this, and my favorite part of these presentations is when you, our members, tell their story about their companies, what they do, how they do it. That's always my favorite part, and it always elicits the most attention from young people or from the people who are receiving the presentation. So you want to tell your story. You want your voice, your company, your family's name, or the company you work for's name to be front and center. You want to put that best face on. And then finally, like I said, being able to, at minimum, if all of the students that or people that hear these presentations end up moving on to other things, they completely change direction, decide college is the direction they want to go in, or they pick culinary instead of the hard trades. The benefit that we have is that all of these people are going back and they've learned something about bioheat, biodiesel, low carbon liquid renewable fuels as alternatives to other things. Now, that's not the intention of the program specifically, but it's an ancillary benefit. And for us to continue to spread the word and proliferate the good news that our industry brings, you know, this is a generation of people who are particularly concerned about climate change and looking for ways that they can help contribute to those issues. We are bringing a solution that they, in many cases, have never heard of. I will say that the instructors now that in these classes know our story really well, so we have the benefit of that we're not being left behind as the trade schools and other schools that we've made these presentations at. We're actively in the minds of the staff that have seen these over and over again. But now we are developing this whole new crop of our next customers. So you're not only here potentially to grow the HVAC apprenticeship pool, to maybe attract talent to your company, but also you're talking to potentially your future customers. And so when there is a conversation about energy and energy choices in the future, we've been able to impress upon them at a very young age what our industry brings to the table about low carbon liquid renewable fuels. So again, Jim, thank you, and I profusely thank all the volunteers who've been involved, and I strongly encourage everyone that's listening today to be more involved. And so thank you for letting me jump in, Gerry. I know you weren't planning on
that. Of course, no, yeah, and thank you. Yeah, you know, again, Jim, thank you as well. And to Chris's point, you know, it is interesting hearing, I mean, I've known Jim for 20 years, and after going to a couple of presentations, I was kind of learning a little bit more and more about him, so it is good to hear these stories, and as I said, it definitely, without a doubt, resonates with the students. And again, the presenters, it's a very simple thing, because you're just kind of telling your story. I think it seems kind of daunting, initially, but once you do it, what I have found is that, I've kind of pulled a couple people into these presentations, and initially they weren't, wild about going, but once they did it, they were loving it. They're like, this is great. When's the next one? At the end of the presentation, you'll find my information. If you are interested in joining me at any of these presentations, just reach out to me, and I'll certainly keep you in mind as these presentations pop up. So I just have a couple other slides here, and I am going to go onto the website real quick, just so you can, talking about kind of navigating that as well. So before I do that, and Jim talked about job shadowing. I think that's such a fantastic idea. I know that I know he's actually talked to a couple of other members about it, and they've actually adopted that. I think it's a phenomenal idea. As we know, bad hires, can cost the company a significant amount of money. And this is a great way to really learn these candidates. I know that, Jim was kind of talking to me about how they, he gets feedback from some of his employees with regards, hey, what did you think of so-and-so? And I think it's such a great idea, and it's something that, I think more companies should really think about. In addition to that, this another program that I am really pushing is the work-based learning program in Connecticut. I think Connecticut has a wonderful work-based learning program, and these programs are at the trade schools. And Chris, I want to apologize for this analogy on the front end, but it's kind of like your farm system. And if I will say I am a Red Sox fan, so it's kind of tough for me to give this analogy. But if you remember the Yankees teams back in, the late '90s, the team that won 4 or 5 World Series, that was all because of their farm system. I mean, if you look at Mariano and maybe Pettit and Jorge Posada, and I can't go too deep into this being a Red Sox fan, but my point is that that's the way they built that great dynasty. Well, I liken work-based learning to that as well. I mean, I think this is where you're going to get your next crop of employees, of technicians, and I think so it works. It works this way. And if you can see I would encourage you to go to that website and find out more about it. There's a 3-minute video. I was going to show it on this, but this platform doesn't allow that. So I would encourage you to go on there, check it out, and find out more about work-based learning in Connecticut if you don't know about it. But it allows you to take on students that are over 16. Juniors can work up to 14 hours a week. Seniors can work up to 21 hours a week. What I really like about it is, the students that get involved with this, 90% of them stay within that trade. It's essentially, as I said, it's homegrown talent. It prevents the poaching in our industry. I mean, I think unfortunately that's a practice that if you're looking for an employee, it's you're hiring, you may be hiring someone from another company. Well, that doesn't do anything good. That doesn't do good for our industry. We need a new crop of talent, coming in. And I think this is without a doubt the way to do it. And the other thing that it does is kind of like the job shadowing to an extent, you avoid bad hires. You're bringing on these students. They work for you, in their junior, senior year. They get to learn what your company is all about. You get to learn what they're all about. And at the end of the day, you make the decision, or they make the decision whether or not they want to work with you or you want to work with them. And I think it's one of these things where I know it doesn't solve the long-term issue that we have, but excuse me, the short-term issue, but it does long-term. It's something that you should really think about. So again, take a look at that, and I know I've gotten a number of companies involved with it, and I think they've been appreciative of that. So.
Gary, if you ever use Yankee analogies again, I'm gonna have to.
I'm sorry.
I almost fell out of my chair. Tristan Casas is a candidate for Rookie of the Year, just to let you know.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I hate doing it, but yeah. So all right, let me just do this real quick. I'm gonna exit out of the presentation, and we're gonna go to the website here. So. So if you guys can see this, so this is ct.nextenergypros.com. You want to sign up as an employer. Pretty simple simple process. You fill out the information, and so that's kind of the registration part. So I'm going to go to find a student here. Technology cooperates with me. Hold on. Okay. So this allows you to take a look at all the different students that are on there. Yeah, there's a search. You can actually search on here and see, and actually type in your zip code. So let me just do that. It takes a little bit to load up. While that's loading up, a couple of things I did want to talk to is this website is kind of it's slightly bare bones. We get that. We are in the process of actually upgrading the site. So that there'll be a lot more functionality that you could look forward to. I mean, right now it works fine. You can still find the candidates, but I did just want to let you know that we are looking to upgrade the site. A couple of things on here I want to talk to. So you can see you have the applicant's information. One thing to keep in mind is that they do put their cell phone number in there. So if you want to reach out to them, you could text them or call them. As I said, we've been doing this for about 4 years. So do keep in mind that after a couple of years, this email address, the CT Tech, might be defunct. So we are asking that they actually put 2 email addresses in there. So that's something to keep in mind. We're going to really push for that moving forward. So if some of the candidates in there only have 1 email address, and it's the CT Tech, we're going to be we're actually sending out an email to all the candidates in the system, asking them to update their profile. So the other things that you can do, there's an option to view resume. So it allows you to see, the different resumes that are in there. So that's really, I'm in find an employer now. So this is what they would kind of see. The first one's NTech. So, and just similarly, that they'd be able to do a refined search. So I won't go too deep into that. So that's how the website works. Again, be on the lookout. We're going to start I'm guessing it's probably not going to be ready till sometime in 2024, but I just wanted to give you guys a heads up on that. So let me get back to the presentation. Just a few final slides here. One of the other things I did want to mention is we did this last year. We did an open house for the different schools, and I thought that went really well. If we had to do some things differently, we did it kind of, I want to say, in early June. I think we're going to do it a little bit earlier this year, and I think we'll have a lot better representation from the schools. I want to say we had maybe 40 or 50 kids, but I think we actually could have had a much better turnout if we did it a little bit earlier. So be on the lookout for that. I thought it went well. The open house was actually at NTech. Obviously, as you can see Burke in there. He's one of the instructors at NTech. And yeah, so that's something that we're looking to kind of continue to do. I will say I really think that Burke did some presentations for the students. I think they were really intrigued, and so I think it was really good from that end. I get a lot of good feedback from the instructors that came that day. So
yeah, it's just, Gerry, I think that the open house is just another way to help us help our potential employers have direct contact with these potential apprentices, and for us also to just continue to facilitate them thinking about our trade as their future. So I think it's a nice completion of the circle of these presentations, the website, and the potential interface between the employer and the potential employee, and now having this reinforcement of the exciting opportunities that our industry can bring to them is just a nice completion of that of the whole program. And I'm glad that you continue to push us to do it.
Yeah. No, I mean, and what I really appreciate about it is again, working very closely with these schools. And I mean, initially I'd be reaching out to them. Now they're reaching out to me. We're almost becoming part of their curriculum. It's like, hey, we got to have these guys in again, to talk about, because obviously there's a new crop of kids coming in, and so we're able to, kind of tell our story too. And I couldn't agree with you more on that, Chris. Like, I realized it's like, wow, whatever we've done, we're at the very minimum, we're able to kind of tell our story and the evolution of our industry, from the bioheat side to the fact that we're not just, I think the other thing that really resonates with the students is that we're a lot more diverse, in our offerings, as far as like, now you're offering AC, you're doing a number of different, a variety of services that years ago, your typical oil company would not be doing. So I think that's, that's something that I think, goes a long way with these students as well. So
yeah, Gerry, the bottom line is that I believe that this program is working. I think that, it's not quite the instant gratification, because if you end up doing a presentation to a sophomore in high school, it's going to be a few more years before they're actually job ready, out of school, ready to go to work. But I think the seeds that we planted over the last 4 years are starting to germinate, and I think that this list of students is going to start to turn into prospects that will convert into employees. And as Gerry has emphasized over and over again, and I think Jim has did a really good job of figuring out how to further leverage this program specifically for his company, is that if you get involved, you will be ready to be able to take full advantage of that, and you'll know who are the guys who don't show up or come late or take Fridays off. And you can learn that really upfront, because what we learn at NTech is that our students who come here are typically a little older. We do get the occasional 18-year-old right out of high school, but we get a lot of early 20s, tried a few different things, and now they finally have gotten serious about life, and they're at NTech. And the one thing I always tell those students is that I can't teach you to be on time. I can't teach you to come with a good attitude. I can't teach you to be dedicated. I can't teach you to follow instructions. Those are things that your parents were supposed to teach you. But if you develop those bad habits at this stage, you as a future employer, you can find who has those good habits that you don't have to break later. And starting to get to know them provides that opportunity.
Yeah.
Gerry, let me say this. The one thing that I did find out is once you get involved with you in the presentation, that school and that teacher continues to follow up with like myself because I was there. But the one thing that we do when we're at the presentation is some of these schools we go to, these students are coming in 30, 40, 50 miles away. And we're promoting the industry, and knowing that they're not able to come work for me, we give them the understanding that, we are the fuel dealers, and you can go work for any one of us in your hometown. So, we are giving them the understanding of what our industry has to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and to that point too, Jim, I think that's the other thing too, is you provide them like a level of empowerment with regards to, you know, what it is that they're actually doing. You know, I mean, I think Chris actually uses a great soundbite. I forget how you articulate it, Chris, but it's something along the lines of, there's been no invention in the history of mankind that has helped save more lives than HVAC, right? Is that something along those lines, Chris? You know?
Very, very close. But yeah, I you know, what I try to do is I try to place a value on this career path by explaining that, you know, penicillin has not, HVAC has increased the quality of life of people and extended human life more than any other invention, including penicillin or anything like that, just to tell them the gravity and importance of the work that they will do for your customers.
Yeah, and so I think we serve as a reinforcement to, hey, this is the right, you know, you picked the right career path here, you know, and to prove that, I have people that have lived it, and that, you know, and this is their story, you know, and I think and again, Jim, to your point, you know, we're representing the industry, and that what's great about our industry is a variety of companies out there that you could choose from. You know, to work at, and I think that's something that I think goes a long way, you know. So great. Jane, I'm not sure if there are any questions. I didn't see any come through.
Nothing, no questions came through. One comment,
Okay.
27-time World Series champs. So we have a Yankees fan.
Oh man, I'll tell you, this is not
really,
good. Gerry,
what did I do,
again.
Chris?
If we do this again, you are taking out the Yankee references.
I needed to have that the picture, the Facebook picture that you always have of the burning the burning Yankees hat. That should have been in my slide. Anyway,
but so far that is the only question.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if any more will come through, or if we want to wrap up and leave it open after.
Yeah, no, I think that's I think that, I don't know, Chris or Jim, if you have any final comments. I mean, I just want to thank everyone for jumping on, and you know, as I mentioned, we'll have a recording of this, so you can share with your colleagues or, you know, anyone else.
Yeah, Gerry, the only parting word I would say is that and I've been trying to continue to reinforce participation in this from a volunteer presenter standpoint. But I think that you are fully supported. SEMA's staff, Gerry and his team, you are fully supported. You are never alone. We will be there. We'll coach you in advance. We'll be there on site with you. So we will be there as much or as little as you need. So don't ever feel like, you know, we're just kind of throwing this on you. Show up at Caner Tech and do a presentation, and you're in the hallway, you know, getting in trouble because you don't have a hall pass. No, we will be with there every step of the way. I actually did a training video that walks through how I do the presentation. You can do your own version of it or something completely different, as long as it's within the framework of what we're trying to accomplish. But please just know that do not be intimidated thinking that you're just sort of being thrown into the fire. We're there to help you.
Right. Agreed. Well, thank you, everyone. Chris and Jim, thanks so much. And Jane, thank you so much for your help today. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you, guys.